Hello, I'm Desmond Boateng, and this is SEO in 2024 Additional Insights.
Desmond, what's your additional insight for SEO in 2024?
So for mine, it's digital PR and link earning over link building. So what I'm seeing a lot is that I'm getting also from my own experience, is that a lot of SEO specialists are focusing on buying links instead of earning links or implementing digital PR. So what I would really recommend for everybody to really build like a story, a very interesting story with compelling content that people really want to share instead of pushing your content constantly.
So what are the key elements that need to be incorporated in this story?
If I'm looking at also from my own experience, because everything is like based on my own agency experience, of course. So what we do is, okay, you need to have like newsworthy content. So, okay, is it interesting for their platform to write about? For example, if it is like, if you're reaching out for a partnership with like a platform that's focusing on entrepreneurs, then the content must be newsworthy for entrepreneurs, but also the quality has to be on a certain level, of course, high quality. So this is one thing. The story must be unique, but also must resonate to your core values of your company, and also to make it even much better, also resonates with the core values of the platform.
Okay, so depending on where you're publishing it, it needs to resonate and be appropriate for the style of communications medium that you're publishing it on. Does that mean that it should be published everywhere?
No, that's the thing. Don't publish your content everywhere and make it very tailored based on each platform. So instead of reaching out to everybody, select, let's say, 5 to 10 media platforms of platforms within your niche that are writing about stuff where you have knowledge about and where you can have added value for their target audience. So what I always say when I reach out to them or when they reach out to me nowadays is like, okay, how can we have an added value for a target audience, but also always show that you understand their target audience, and give examples of, okay, hey, this will be very interesting for your target audience. Check on our website or check on other relevant platforms. So what I mostly do is, let's say we have a platform about finance and we are reaching out to platforms that are writing about software. Then we say like, hey, check this interesting article that we also have written for the other software company. But in addition, what happens is also that most of those partnerships that we do, they also placed on social media. So mostly I also refer to their social media because, for example, traditional link building is more only on their blog, and going for partnership, they will also share it on their own channels through social media, which is also essential for SEO, in my opinion.
So initially I was thinking that you might be talking about an expanded version of the About page on a web page where it really details what the company is about and the story of the company, and perhaps publishing that elsewhere in the form of different social media posts. But it sounds like you're also talking about incorporating what your values are and what your company does as part of other posts that you make online and other communications that you make online.
Indeed. Now that's perfect what you're saying. To give you an example, so I have my own online marketing agency in Amsterdam. And besides that, we are like an SEO and advertising focused agency. We are also focusing a lot of diversity. For example, I'm writing a lot about cognitive diversity. I also did a TED talk about this topic. So I also explained towards the different partnerships that I work with, especially platforms where a lot of entrepreneurs are there, also our target audience, of course. And I explained how you can use cognitive diversity to increase your company's revenue, for example, to grow your company. So that is it. So it's like, okay, we're an agency, but we're not talking about, okay, hey, the benefits of SEO, what you see in most traditional articles, but we're more talking about, okay, we have grown from 0 to 13 people. We find cognitive diversity very important, that everybody thinks different and that we also accept that people think different. How have we implemented as a company? And then it's also easier to get partnership like this, because you're really bringing something.
So does that mean that you're trying to do business with other businesses that have the same values as you, that are also keen to do something about, for instance, diversity as well?
Indeed, yes, indeed. That's perfect that you're saying, but we also get, because some companies, in the beginning, I started just reaching out to tell my story, and some companies just say that doesn't fit with our, with our platform, and that's also okay.
The flip side of that, of course, is that you might be talking to companies that don't have diversity, for example, or something else that you're passionate about as one of their core values, so it might not resonate with them. Do you have concerns that by saying that particular values are important for you might turn off other people?
Yes, of course, but I really believe in that, like, cognitive diversity, so the thinking different. Also, multiple research from like Harvard has shown that companies that are cognitive diverse, they outperform companies that everybody has the same way of thinking. It also sparkles like the target audience, and I'm like, we also work with companies that also want to, to be like the market leader. So if you say like, hey, I don't want to outperform other companies because I don't want to think different, then automatically you don't even fall in our target audience.
So I'm keen to really understand how you make your brand story interweave with the rest of your content marketing efforts. So, I mean, in terms of keyword targeting, for example, do you still have marketing type blog posts as your primary aim, marketing type keyword phrases that are relevant to your agency as the core term that you're trying to attract, but you have your story as part of that? Or do you actually actively try and attract audiences that are searching for keywords in relation to your brand values?
That's a good question. I think it's both. So on our website, we have the marketing related use cases, but also blogs about, let's say, how to implement SEO for like Shopify, the best practices. But our outreach and our digital PR strategy is more focused on the core values and thinking like, okay, I want to be market leader. So to become market leader, I want to think different. I want to be a step ahead of everybody.
What about if you're an SEO working for maybe a larger organization and you're not sure if your organization has any distinct values? How do you go about maybe assisting with the creation of those values and at the same time trying to keep the majority of people on board?
Yeah, that's a good question. So what we do is, because indeed every company, I believe that every company has its own values and its own way of being distinct from others, because mostly what I say, like, if you can show the way that you're different from your direct competitors, why would they buy from you? So what we do is like we organize like a strategy session, where we sit together and where we discuss like, okay, hey, what are the pain points of your customer? Who is your customer? I think that's the first step. Who is your ideal customer? What are their pain points? What are their needs? What are the substitutes of what we are offering, or what you are offering? And then based on that, you will come like, okay, they find this important. This is what you're good in. Let's match that.
So I like that. You start off with the customer in mind, and to a certain degree hone your values to reflect what's likely to appeal to your ideal target customer.
Indeed. Because that's the thing also. Because the fun thing is also, I started my SEO career as a link builder. So I really know, okay, how it, when I started 14 years, I really know, okay, what are all the ins and outs from link building. And at some point, what I, in the beginning, already started doing different was building relationships. And for example, if I am very transactional, so hey, person X has platform I, I'm just going to buy your link for, let's say, 500 euros. You don't build like a relationship. You build like a relationship, but it's very transactional. But if you say like, hey, I can help you to get more traffic, I can help you to have really next level content, because I always also ask like, okay, hey, how do people reply it on when you post it on social, or on the articles or below the article? Because that also really helps, because if they say like, okay, hey, people replied very well, I'm also going to share it on LinkedIn other socials that really helps us indeed with the article, but also shows that, okay, we are really adding value, because if somebody was doubting about the content, they will never share it on other platforms.
So, I mean, you mentioned link building. The thing about link building is it's much easier to tie a metric to it. How many links have you built? What kind of impact it's had in your rankings? I think with building a brand, with having values and telling a story, it's harder to be tangible with that. So how do you measure the success, or how do you measure the impact of telling your story, of sharing your values with people?
That's a good question. So let's use my own example with my agency. So for example, I look into how a lot of different people reach out to me through LinkedIn, or just start following me on LinkedIn. And that is one thing. People start following our LinkedIn account from the agency. So you're also seeing that growing. You can see it in terms of referral traffic. I think these are like the main metrics. And to be honest, I don't really look into the direct, impact on the keywords. But to be honest, when I've looked into it, you're seeing that we are really growing in terms of rankings on competitive keywords, because we're really building like a brand. But also an important one that I almost forgot. I really monitor the amount of people that are looking for me on my name, but also the amount of people that are looking for a brand name. And in case of my agency digital base, I'm really seeing that is growing.
And how often do you hone your story? Because, for instance, a brand is to a certain degree a living organism, in that it's not something that stands still. It changes all the time. So how do you ensure that your brand is relevant and as up to date as possible? How often? I mean, for instance, every few months, do you actually sit down and define what your brand is about and what its values are?
Yes, indeed. So what we do is like we have a coach, also a business coach, and also we have like a lot of people around us that we share like, okay, hey, this is what we stand for as agency. So I think, let's say every year, every 6 months, we really sit down, we do like an offsite, and we look into, okay, hey, where do we stand in the market? But also where do we stand for? But also what are our core values? Is it still resonating with what we're already bringing out to the market? And one of the next things that we're now working on is that we have like every quarter we ask the team about like how happy are you within the company, how safe do you feel, the guarantees, is a lot of other stuff. But one of the things that we're also going to integrate is like, are we living by or on team principles? And that's also part of the brand. So are we also, what we are sharing outside, are we also living by that?
And you also said, where do we stand in the market? So do you actually benchmark your brand values against your competitors and try and get some understanding of what their values are?
Yes. I really think that's also based on looking to the market. That's also how we saw like, okay, on this point we can really we are really different. And it was also just talking with other agency owners. You speak a lot with each other. Then you ask, okay, what do you stand for? And I'm like, okay, I stand for this. I said, yeah. Oh, that's fun that you're saying it, because I also find that you guys stand really for diversity, cognitive diversity, but also that you guys, because for example, first we started as a full service agency. And at some point we said like, hey, we're going to do only advertising, SEO and analytics. So we pitched that to clients, and they were like, oh, we already thought that you were already a search agency focused on advertising and SEO. So I was like, oh, yeah, we didn't do something very well with the branding.
Absolutely. A great brand knows when to say, no, we don't do that. This is what we do an exceptional job at. And if you want something else, go to this other person. They can help you instead.
Indeed.
So you've shared what SEO should be doing in 2024. Now let's talk about what SEO shouldn't be doing. So what's something that's seductive in terms of time, but ultimately counterproductive? What's something that SEO shouldn't be doing in 2024?
That's a very good question. What I would go for is something that I also did back in the days, and I'm still receiving sometimes emails, is our focus on directories. So I think you're aware what directories are.
Yes, absolutely. I was just actually thinking, as you were saying that, does DMOZ still exist? Because that was one of the first directories online.
True, indeed, yeah. So that I would really say like, okay, focus on other stuff that I mentioned. So focus on linked earning, focus on building a good digital PR strategy for your client, instead of focusing on directories, because you can get like a lot of cool partnerships, relationships, but also quite cool results. Think there's like few results that I'm very proud of. For example, for one client, we got the link on Microsoft.com, but also on Bloomberg, but also on Meshed and Tech Times. Stuff like that. That's very cool to achieve as a SEO specialist.
Desmond Boateng is co-founder and SEO director at Digital Base, and you can find him over at dgtlbase.com. Desmond, thanks so much for adding your additional insight to SEO in 2024.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
I've been your host, David Bain. You've been listening to an episode of SEO in 2024 Additional Insights, a Majestic series that complements the original SEO in 2024 podcast, video series, and book. Find out more at SEOin2024.com.